This is Don't Starve Together, and today we're gonna find out, can I survive as a beginner? Can I survive a season and make a base to be proud of? Find out in today's video. So after selecting survival, turning on caves, and making a very creative name, it's perfect, we hopped right on into it. So after looking around on the selection screen for a little bit, I decided to go with Wolfgang and spawned in my character. Quickly I started to figure out the controls and I started to collect some resources. Then I had to figure out that Wolfgang has to work out to stay in shape, so I decided to get pumping. And my character became mighty for the very first time. So after I got done working out, I continued to grab more resources. And after a little bit, I crafted my first item, a pickaxe and an axe. And with that axe, I started to chop down trees so I could get wood to start making my first base. And as night approached, I had to set up a campfire so I could survive the night. Once morning came, I ran around getting more resources for our base, causing mass deforestation in the name of progression. After walking around for a little bit, I came across a table with a couple flowers around it. I got a little curious to pick one of them up just to find out they hurt you. Okay, that's not good. What the heck? Shortly after that, I noticed what looked to be a staff next to the potted plants. I decided to go over and pick it up, and just to find out, it gave me a little friend, and that friend's name is Chester. He's a portable chest that follows you around, and you can store items in him. And with Chester in tow, I set out on my adventure to go gather more things for our base, just to come across a boulder. And finally, I get to use my pickaxe to get some resources. And after running around, smashing a bunch more rocks, and pick up a few more things, I set it up for the night. I spent the night cooking a bunch of food so I could feed my character in the morning, and after I fed him, I started working out and getting my character mighty again. So after walking around a little bit, I came across a plugged sinkhole. So after mining it and asking my chat if I should go in there, chat, should I go inside? Should I go inside, chat? I don't know if it's a good idea. You won't die. Well, if you say so. So with that, I spawned into my first cave. I ran around grabbing a few things, saw these light flowers, picked them up too, and made my way around the cave. With not much interesting stuff happening, I went back to the surface just to be greeted by a bunch of bats. And those bats were about to go attack Chester. I didn't know his staff was on the ground, so I went over and grabbed it and we started running away from the bats. Unfortunately, they got a little hit on him and the bats chased us for a little while, but we eventually lost them once we got to this scrapyard and it became night. Now safe from the bats, I decided to set up a campfire and wait out the night. When morning came, I thought enough was enough. I needed to make a base, so I began chopping down a couple trees, filling up Chester with whatever I can, and set out to find a location to build my first base. After spending the whole day finding a base location, I decided to settle down in this rocky area here. I thought, you know what, this will be a good spot to set up a base. So I started smashing a few rocks, and then I started building my science machine. And with that science machine, I built myself a backpack so I can carry more and a couple chests. I finally began putting my resources away in my chest, and as morning came, I went to go grab more resources. A little later in the day, I got a gift box, so I decided to open it. What's this? Alpine walking shoes. Okay, give me them. After putting on my shoes, I built my alchemy engine because it's basically an upgraded science machine and started crafting more stuff. And after placing down my potter's wheel, I made a horrible mistake. I accidentally lit it on fire, and soon the fire began to spread to my other things, lighting my whole base aflame. All I could do is watch in horror as all the things I've worked for slowly burned away in front of my eyes. Oh my god, no, I just did that. I gotta pick up the stuff. I gotta salvage what I can. I quickly ran around trying to pick up as many things as I can, but unfortunately most of it burned to ashes, so I stored what I could in Chester and we made our way into the forest to find a new base location. A little later on, I was starving but had no food, so I had to fight these spiders. Spider? Any spiders? Come here. Come here. I have no choice in the matter. I have to fight you. The battle was long and hard fought, but eventually the numbers started to overwhelm me as more of them spawned, forcing me to flee away and run. Luckily, I came across some berries, so I was able to feed myself and get my hunger slightly back up. Finally, a little bit later, I found a new location to set up, so I began building a campfire and all the things I needed for my base again. Suddenly, in the middle of building things, a hound came out of nowhere and started attacking my character. Only having an axe, I had no other option but to start hacking away at it, eventually bringing it down. After defeating the hound, I made myself a fire pit so I can have a more secure base location. The fire pit is an improved campfire that doesn't fizzle out when it runs out of fuel. After making my fire pit, I decided to start making a few more materials so I can make my alchemy engine again. After regaining all the materials for the alchemy engine, I placed it down in my base. I spent the rest of that day getting more logs, grass, and other resources like food so I could survive. The next day, I spent finding out how to make charcoal by burning these stumps around my base, only to find out that it gives me ash. I have to burn a full tree down to get charcoal, so that's what I decided to do next. next. And I started committing arson on the entire forest, lighting up this whole area so I can get a bunch of charcoal. As the forest burned, I spent more time walking around smashing more rocks so I can get more gold, flint, and stone. As I was picking up my resources, a hound came out of nowhere to attack me, but luckily I've gained a lot more experience by now, so I quickly got rid of it with my axe. Unfortunately, that was not the end of my troubles, as I ran into a pack of bats and they chased me all around the forest for a little bit. Eventually I lost them and got back to my base. Once I got back to my base, I made a cooking pot so I could make higher quality food. I spent the next day getting a bunch of wood, twigs, charcoal, and rocks. Feeling brave, I finally decided to take on all these spiders that have bugged me for so long. I took down one of them, but then some of the green ones came out. I had to flee and fight them separately, but once I took them out, I started heading back towards the hive and taking out the rest of them. One by one, they began to fall. I slowly had to move back as I swung, because if I took 1 or 2 hits, I probably would die. So I had to take them one swing at a time and back up. As the fight went on and night began to fall, I had to retreat back to my base. The next day, I crafted a shovel and started picking up berry bushes to put at my base. After placing the bushes at my base, I went to go grab some more wood. As the sun came up, I placed some saplings at my base to make myself a renewable wood source. Skipping ahead a day, since nothing really interesting happened, I just started planting a lot more saplings at my base to get more renewable wood. When it became night, I was in for the toughest night of my life as shadow creatures started attacking me due to my sanity being too low. I had to keep dodging the shadow monster as shadow hands tried to take out my fire. I had to keep going around in circles to avoid dying to these monsters, but luckily I made it till the morning and I ran for my life. Unfortunately for this next day, I didn't really do much at all. I kind of just ran around and grabbed a few resources, and even at the night I really didn't do anything much. So the next day I went out to go gather more resources, and I ran into a pack of hounds and I decided to fight them, which turned out to be the worst decision of this entire playthrough. Oh jeez. Oh wait, oh I messed up. Oh! And unfortunately, my character finally bit the dust. So this is where our story ends. And if you're wondering really quick, Tectonic, why didn't you do any of these cool animations that you just did now in your video? It's because I literally just learned how to use keyframes. I'm not even kidding, 10 minutes before this, I literally did not know what a keyframe is. So expect more keyframe animation stuff in my videos in the near future. And thank you for surviving my bad editing in this video. I really appreciate it. But if you did like the video, check out my live stream over on my playlist or linked in the description. But anyways, that's enough for now. I'll see you in the next video.